Oh no, it was all going so well, and now the window display is broken. Hold on, I'll fix it.
Dave looks so skinny in the intro. Has he always been like?
There we go.
I've seen the intro video probably 300 times now, and I've never noticed how skinny he looks in that first one.
He had a time. Also, hello, welcome to the Team Objection Podcast for March 1st, 2022, episode 518. Hello to all the people on YouTube. I see Doug, I see Horn Soma. I'm sure there's others out there. We have a number out there. But anyways, welcome to the show. You may have noticed that Dave is not here. He was in the intro, skinny, but now he is not, and he is not.
He's going to be so tickled when I complimented him, but then he'll be upset that I did it when he's not there. He will comment, mark my words, that I gave him a compliment when he was not present.
That's
He's
true.
going to be like, why can't you do it when I'm on? I'm like, well, because I hate you.
It's the sight of him, I think. I think just seeing him in that middle box just puts you off somehow, and then it ruins everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the cleft. I can see the cleft. And when the beard is out, there's no cleft. And I think that's the big difference.
Could be. It's a bit of a weird show this week. Some, I was going to say haphazardly thrown together topics, but they're mostly connected in the sense that it's all pop culture stuff. But rather than diving into one thing in particular, there's going to be several things that are quick hitting, most of them recent, although one of them is very much not. So
I expect you to be a dissenting voice on every topic, Michaela.
Oh, me.
Oh, by the way, Michaela's here.
Yeah,
for those
hi
who are
everyone.
listening to the
if
show
you don't know
on
me.
a podcast.
right, through like a seashell or cup and string, whatever antiquated reasons you're still listening to it through that format.
We did not introduce her. We barely acknowledged her. Welcome, everyone.
I mean,
Michaela.
that's the correct decision.
Now, many of you might know Michaela, or some of you, or maybe one of you, from the recording, the streaming
Yeah.
that she and Chris do.
Yeah. Now I've crossed over into the world of podcasts.
National Podcast, where she's been a few times. She grossly overrated Yuri on Ice, I recall. And there were a couple of others that were out there, but
I stand by all of them. I'm
Do
not
you?
going to take it
That's
back.
good.
do
No,
you stand by them?
You got to have conviction.
I think I do.
I'm surprised that you stand by them, because there was a series of 10s, like 10, 10, 10. And we're like, Michaela, can't give everything a 10.
I mean, I might need to go back through the episodes, but
What if Yuri on Ice Season 2 comes out and it's better than Season 1? Now, do you see what you've done?
Yeah, it's fair. Well, in that
It's a
case, I would just need to
10.5.
rewatch Season 1 and then, with Season 2 in mind, and then potentially rescore it.
Yeah, but you can't beat me with semantics. Okay. So anyways,
It's all or
Michaela's here.
nothing.
Everyone, Michaela's here.
Right.
Yeah.
Michaela Ace Attorney is
Soma,
says.
yeah,
Ah.
he recognizes Michaela from the Ace Attorney thing.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see what's coming up on the right-hand side. If you can't see it, then you're just going to have to listen and wait, because that's the penalty you pay for doing it in that format. That's okay. That's a choice you can do. We like listeners and viewers of all kinds. So let's start with the new hotness that everybody's playing right now, except for Sean and I, because Sean has it but hasn't opened it yet, and I don't have it, and I do plan to play it, but probably not for a while yet, and that's Elden Ring. So Elden Ring is out, and we've seen a lot of takes about it. Most people seem to be enjoying the game. A few people seem to have been surprised by it because they are not aware, apparently, of what From Software has done with all of its other titles. Confusing to say the least, but that's fine. There was one tweet in particular that was getting traction over the last couple days, however, and it was one that was from a prominent Twitter voice that is also known for having hot takes that are sometimes wrong, who basically said that you can just see a video clip. It's like a 30-second clip of him just getting absolutely wrecked by an enemy, like not really dodging at the right times, not trying to figure out the game's mechanics, and then crying about it and giving up. We're using this as a launching point to say this. Sean, you have played most of the games that they've put out, if not all of them.
Most of them.
Most.
Uh-huh.
I have played none. Dave, who's not here, had only played about 2 hours of Dark Souls.
He got crushed.
Didn't really matter. Michaela, I don't think you've played any of these.
I've played some of Dark Souls, if only because I was helping Sean once upon a time, like 5 million years ago.
Like
We were like farming.
She played the equivalent of 5 minutes.
It was the equivalent of 5 minutes.
Dark Souls.
But
Which
I
is
did
more than me.
suffer through it.
Yeah.
I have not touched a controller with any of those games in the console. So, here's the question then. It was sprung from this person's debate. Should video games, in general, obviously we can talk about specific cases, but in general, have greater difficulty options for its players? Now, as you think about the response, because I'm springing this on you, I didn't tell them this was in the show.
I mean, I'm ready. But go ahead.
There are obviously some folks who like that spread. There are some folks who want to play, especially RPGs, on the setting that has almost no difficulty and or just skips the battles entirely so they can experience the story. From Software games are known for being difficult, are known for being the ones where you have to basically get crushed a bunch to learn patterns, to learn enemies. So maybe this person should have known better before they even walked in. But again, in general, how do you feel about difficulty in video games?
Well, Chris, it's a complicated question. So my easy answer is the game was made in the vision of the creators, right? And they did a great job. And so a lot of times you'll play a game on, let's say, an insanity difficulty setting like Mass Effect, where the game isn't really, it's built for normal. So when you play it on really, really hard, it's sort of unfair. Admittedly, the creators are like, you're not really supposed to play it on this level, so good luck. The encounters just aren't set up. And like there are sections, for example, where you have to take hits. And when you're on insane and you have to take those hits and they deplete all your health, it gets really frustrating. From what I've experienced from Software games, everything is in your control and it's really, really hard. But if you die 99% of the time, it's your fault still. There's not enemies coming off or coming off the screen or something like unfair that's happening. No like wonky hitbox. So with that said, I love these kind of games because they reward you learning the system. You know, to me, they're not like, oh, you just have to get like good at Twitch, like reacting. Most of the difficulty isn't about that. Like Returnal, that shit's coming at you fast, but even that game, there are certain things that you can do that mitigate that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I would say I don't think. Oh, Dave is here now. Anyways, I don't think you need an easy difficulty because that's sort of like the joy. That's how they built it. That's the experience. If anything, here's what I'll say to people who want it to be too easy as I continue my hour-long diatribe. This is the Miyamoto thing where he once said Mario, the unique thing is if you're not good at Mario, you may never be good at Mario because you can't just go grind a bunch of levels and get better. It's like if you absolutely can't do basic platforming, there's the kind of nothing you're going to be able to do. Dark Souls, if it's hard for you, or Elden Ring, it's time consuming and it's grindy, but you can gain a bunch of levels and then things that were challenging are all of a sudden not that bad. So you have that option if you want to put in the work. I have a part 2 to this answer that I will wait until you guys talk.
I forgot what I was going to say. No. So I'm trying to remember.
84 years.
It's like, I don't know. Whenever games give me the option to like choose my difficulty, I definitely, pick accordingly. But I also appreciate and respect games that don't let you choose and you just kind of have to figure it out with everybody else. Like I think Hades, I don't think it had a difficulty option other than the God mode, excuse me. But like you had to sort of learn how to play it, and like I sucked at Hades for a long freaking time.
You still suck at Hades.
Excuse me.
10 out of 10.
I'm offended. But then I, learned the mechanics and got better, and that was really satisfying. So I think it's nice to have the option. I don't think video games should go in a trend of like, oh, well, we have to make it accessible all the time. I think games that have that vision in mind of it's going to be difficult, but here's ways that you can grind, you can put in the effort, and and then it's really satisfying and rewarding. I respect that. So
I think chat has 2 very different but still good points. Jack Rock earlier said that he'd rather sit down for 4 hours with his financial advisor to diversify his portfolio than play Elden Ring, not my thing, which I think is one that's being lost in this. Not every game is for everybody, and if you're finding that this is too difficult, then perhaps you are just not meant to play it, which sort of leads into Doug's point, where he mentions, like, if we're at a point, if you're not good at a game, you can watch the story beats online from a more capable or experienced gamer. I mean, there's never been more options than now to watch other people play through content, especially if you also happen to like their personality, whether it's, YouTubers, VTubers, streamers, whatever. You have plenty of other ways to still experience the game if you find the difficulty to be a barrier. So it's not like before, if this was 1989 and you can't beat Contra on the NES. Well, guess what? You're not beating Contra on the NES, and unless you happen to have a friend who also has it and you can go over to their house and watch them play, that's just never going to happen. Now, even if you find it to be too hard, you have plenty of other means to experience the game without them dumbing it down for you. So to me, I don't really get the complaints. I think it's fine and maybe even encouraged for developers to include a range of difficulties as much as possible. But if the whole hallmark of your games is that they are hard and require this feedback loop of learning the game, then I don't think they should have to cater to other people. I really don't.
And like that, it means knowing what expectations is the word. Knowing what the expectations are when you're going into it means so much. If it's a game I'm on the fence about, Guardians of the Galaxy was one. I don't know if I'm going to like this game. Turns out I love it. Turns out it's great. Please play it, everybody.
It's going to be on Xbox, what you call it? Gold Live.
Good.
What's the plus thing, the subscription thing? I'm blanking on the name, but it's coming to a subscription service.
Games on...
I don't know why
Whatever.
I'm blanking on it. I have it,
Yeah.
and I don't remember what the hell it is. But the point is, it's coming this month, so anybody who has not yet picked it up is going to have another means by which to do so.
So that's great. That game, going into it, again, not sure if I'm going to like it. It has custom difficulty settings, which I love, because then I don't need to make all the enemies like idiots. I can still make them kind of capable. I just give myself a few more tricks, like really fast cooldowns on my stuff. That's great. I like it when that's the case. But when I go into Returnal and a Dark Souls game and Sekiro, a masterpiece, one of the best games ever made, I know what I'm in for. And that's part of the fun, and it's part of the challenge, and it's part of the experience. I will say accessibility was the part too. And if I'm somebody who really, really wants to play this game, and there's something physically or mentally that is holding me back, I think it's unfortunate that there is no setting for that. And that's hard because I don't know how you do that, because everybody's going to abuse that setting, even those who don't need it. But if I really want to experience Elden Ring, I don't like watching people play games that much, which is a really bad thing to say on a website where my two hosts stream all the time. I don't like it. I would rather experience it, even if it's the same thing. So the fact that I couldn't really do that, that would be hard. And that's where I think this issue gets sort of complicated. Is like, okay, you don't have anything for me to make this at all capable for me to play. And that's hard.
I think it kind of boils down to should versus are expected to. Should developers in general try and expand their difficulties to get that kind of... I mean, we see 4 to 5 seems to be the comfort zone for a lot of games, and that gives you like a very easy where it is almost just the story and maybe a hardcore nightmare kind of difficulty. I think that should be encouraged as much as possible, but the folks that feel like they're entitled to it, like they get to have some say in a game that somebody else makes, to me, I just think is foolishness. And not to mention, like, even if I don't agree with them, I think it's a bigger issue that you're setting yourself up to just be disappointed because the world isn't going to cater to you no matter how much you scream and complain about it. So all you're going to do is make yourself unhappy. And again, there are other means by which you can experience it. And if you don't like watching other people do it, then, I mean, I guess you're out of luck. But if you can't do it yourself and you don't want to watch others, I'm not sure what's left for you. And
what I would recommend to people like Dave, who always play games on easy, and I'm okay with that. I told him I was okay with that. But something to be mindful of is, be careful what you wish for. I was playing Shadowverse. And the beginning is so easy. It's easy, and they give you like a little handicap. They give you like a +5 to your life points. And I was starting to be like, this is boring. I am falling asleep here. Then they ratchet the difficulty up a ton. And I'm like, okay, I hate this. But it like started getting me thinking. And I started better learning the mechanics. I started really putting together a deck that made sense. And all of a sudden I was having so much more fun with it. I rate that game so much higher now because of the difficulty jump. So, like, that's something to, you don't always know what you have until it's gone, but the opposite of that. And that's my words of advice.
I think variable difficulty can help with this. The Trails games do this just as one example because that speaks to our audience. But, there are certainly some types of games where you can be like, oh, you've gotten your ass kicked. Here is the option to get some kind of benefit or buff or reduction in difficulty if you want it. And it's not even like it just does it, because that would also be kind of insulting if we're being honest. But at least that way, if people are not really sure what difficulty they fall on, they can be like, okay, well, this particular fight is giving me trouble, or I'm having a hard time with these mechanics. That's a nice way to split the difference. But again, that's not what these games have ever really done. So I think this was a shock to some folks just because Elden Ring doesn't really look like a Souls game. It does in some ways, but in general, like, it's just so much fancier, and the open world nature is relatively new. So it kind of doesn't seem like a From Software game on the surface. They're finding out real quick what they're about, for better or worse.
Yeah. And I like that. So I 100% in Sekiro. That's like a great achievement for me. Do you want to know why? It's because there's not going to be another person who's like, oh yeah, I did that too. But they had it on easy. It's like everybody had the same experience. So, like, I know that, like, my achievement's, like, protected. You know what I mean? No one's ever going to come in with, like, an easy difficulty. Dave, you'll like this. I saw a humble brag the other day. It was like, yeah, I 100% in Returnal. I died 4 times and blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You died 4 times in maybe the first hour. I'll believe that. You did not die 4 times in the entire game. And this is what you get into when you're talking about game difficulty and achievements.
Mm-hmm. And people lying.
Yeah, I care less about like achievements and more about like achievements. Does that make sense?
Also,
the achievements of the heart.
I'm going to pre-complain real quick, which seems stupid because I haven't played a game in the series and I haven't started this yet. The lack of pause options is going to bug the shit out of me. And I know to a certain extent that's hard, especially if you're playing online with some of the different elements, whether that's co-op or people griefing and whatever. But as somebody who really tries to fit in gaming in between stuff, sometimes the inability to like get anywhere that's relatively safe, except for those specific like campfire type zones, is going to drive me up the wall. Because if I get like a work call and I can't pause and I'm going to get fucking killed off to the side, that to me is going to feel a lot more punitive than just sucking and having to learn and dying a lot. I'm not sure what the solution is to that, so I'm even bringing that up without even having anything behind it. But I know that going in, almost none of the games in the series have let you do that, and that is going to be awful for me. I'm only going to be able to play this like late at night because I do not want to risk that while I'm working.
The nice thing is a lot of the time, you're not like constantly, like Returnal, you're constantly being assaulted. You're kind of like not normally in like a Dark Souls game, you kind of choose your progression. But if you get a call that you're not expecting.
Yeah. For like
That's
people with
tough.
like the Dave situation, for people with kids or stuff that can come up quickly and require like immediate attention, I'm sure that's got to be problematic because now it's not just like, okay, I'm in the middle of a fight and it's not like I can just wait a couple minutes and go do this. I have to do this right now. Well, and I mean, again, maybe that's what you just ask for when you sign up for these. So I may be complaining in advance about nothing, but I know it's going to be an impediment when I pick this up.
That's why I still have not played Monster Hunter World, is you go on these long hunts that you can't pause, which would be fine, except the timer's still going too.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm never going to be in a situation where I can just sit down and not pause. It's never going to happen. So, oh well.
Yeah.
Real quick.
What a weird thing for them to like, you can't do this. Sorry.
I mean, it makes sense to an extent, again, just given some of the systems and stuff. But to me, that's gonna be tough. I'm gonna have to play it only in times when I don't have to worry about that happening. If it's 1 a.m, I'm not gonna get interrupted by a phone call. I hope.
You
And if
better
I do,
not.
it's probably so goddamn important that the game can just go fuck off. Rock, real quick before we move on, mentions the developers see taking away the difficulty is taking away the identity of the game.
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
100%.
Yeah, like
They talked about that.
that's one of the hallmarks of the series as a whole. Is just like that's the thing you have to learn. But look, this isn't unique to them. We can go back to games such as Mega Man to see other examples of like the first time you fight those bosses, you're probably going to die because you don't know the attacks, you don't know the patterns. We've seen it more recently. I think Metroid Dread took a lot of elements from these type of games, specifically from Software, in its boss fights and how you had to kind of learn as you went because some of those things were almost certainly going to hit you the first time. So it's sort of become more common throughout gaming. I think it's a good thing overall, but some would disagree.
They build their games around. I had a church counselor tell us one time, and you always, if your camp is getting preempted with this, you know it's a bad sign. Guys, you get out of this what you put into it. Okay, someone wants to sing the songs and whatever. Anyways, Dark Souls totally the case. The story, the gameplay, the fights. If you're not going to sit down, if you're not going to learn the mechanics, if you're not going to learn, like even the surrounding area, oh, there's a trap behind this door. I'm going to hit it every time if I don't learn it. I'm down to the story. It's not just like given to you. You kind of have to dig in and find the lore. So like truly, that's their gameplay philosophy. Is like you're going to get out of the game what you put into it.
Alrighty, new topic.
With video games, it's okay. Camp counselor's not so good. New
I was
topic.
gonna say.
We're going to go
topic.
from games that are notorious for being difficult for games that are becoming notorious for being too easy as the
Way too
generations
easy.
go on.
So easy.
However, we'll have to see what decisions they make, especially on a mainline title. But a few days ago, what was it, last Friday, Saturday? Recently.
I don't remember. Time is weird.
Yeah, I
now.
was out of town for part of that, so that's why I don't really remember either way. But they had the trailer drop for the newest generation of Pokemon, which was releasing this year, which was a little bit surprising for some folks, considering that Arceus just came out, last month or January, whichever that was. And, of course, the Diamond and Pearl remakes were out end of last year. You can see the starters in the top right corner if you are streaming. They're small, but they're there. If you haven't, you can find them easily enough online. Most people have probably already seen them by now. That was sweeping social media that day. But in general, I guess the question is, we don't have a lot to go off of from the trailer, but what are you hoping for from these games? What are you not hoping for? Like, what's your takeaways from the new Scarlet and Violet?
What does it matter what I'm hoping for? It's never gonna. Even down to the little stuff now, like starters, it's always going to be grass, fire, water. It's always going to be that. But like, I look at that and I'm like, even the designs are starting to bleed together a little bit. So there's only so much you can do when those are your 3 types, but there's just like, there's nothing new here at all. It's the same game. It's the crazy definition, which is not really the definition, but like just doing the same thing over and over again. And every year I say I'm not going to do it, and I end up doing it because something piques my interest. But I don't know. I'm not that excited. Michaela? You can be excited. Don't let me damper your excitement.
I mean, it's a guilty pleasure thing with Pokemon. I always get excited, even if they're inevitably too easy or the story's too bombastic and dumb, and then it's all just the same problems I have over and over again. But yeah, I get excited because I like the prospect of like building a new team, exploring a new region, and the hope that something will be different.
Well, speaking of hope, a lot of people are hoping that they're going to take the gameplay from Arceus, and put it into this, and I'm like, I don't even know if that's what I want. I'm just complaining about everything. Even when they make changes, I'm like, no, I don't like the changes you made.
Well,
but
right?
I'm mad when you don't make changes. I'm a malcontent, but
yeah, I mean, I attempted to play Arceus when it dropped, and I haven't gone back to it since.
It's Arceus.
Arceus.
I looked it up. I looked up
like
how
an
to
RC
pronounce.
car. Yes.
RC car. Yeah, I tried to play Arceus for an evening, and it was fine. Everything I liked about Pokemon was basically stripped away at that point. And I know a lot of people like it, so I don't want to shit all over it. But I don't know if that's where I want the series to go. Like when I wanted changes, I didn't want those changes, but now it's too late.
Friend of the show, Gary, was like, yeah, it's been good so far. I've spent a few hours in the training. I'm really excited to take this team like into the gyms though, and like against leaders. I'm like, sorry, Gary. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What you see now is what you're gonna get for the rest of the game. And he was like, oh
no, that's sad. You didn't know? Oh dear.
So when they released this trailer, they used the words open world. So my hope, which is always dangerous with this series, is that they're going to incorporate a bigger, more open world feel into what is still the traditional Pokemon gameplay, because I'm not interested in only catching things. I want to have the battles. I want to have gyms. I sort of expect those as part of the Pokemon experience. I think this is where I always kind of set myself apart from the rest of the people associated with this channel is I don't really care if Pokemon changes or not. I'm not saying I'd be opposed to it, but I've sort of accepted that it's never going to at this point. And when they've tried to, in games like Conquest, in games like Arceus, in games like Go, I haven't really enjoyed them.
yeah, but they haven't been very good. So that's the other.
There's the element of that too.
Know,
Like I had more enjoyment from Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, despite that game's massive issues, especially with difficulty, than I did with other Pokemon offshoots, including even like Mystery Dungeon, which I know some people love, but I didn't really get into it.
mm-hmm.
So like if this is another mainline title with another 100 to 150 new Pokemon and 8 gym leaders in the same experience, that's kind of why I play these games. And if it's super easy, as Soma alludes to, then you make up ways to make it harder. Like you said, I mean, I did that in Brilliant Diamond. It was, I'm only going to bring 4 Pokemon on my team instead of 6. And maybe I won't bring a Garchomp because he's too damn good. So like, you can still temper it to a certain extent.
That's true. But I so disagree with like, well, we can't fault the developers. Sorry, Soma, for, making the game too easy when there's ways that you can yourself make it harder. I don't want to go out of my way to make the thing harder. Just like balance the difficulty yourself. Whether it's with the experience share, if you allow me to turn that off, fine, great.
Yep.
But you didn't in the Brilliant Diamond, so I'm left with like doing some real weird jury rigging to find any difficulty at all. I don't feel like I should have to do that in my game, and it goes directly against the other thing I like about Pokemon, which is finding a balanced team and raising them. I can't find a balanced team and raise them, and find a challenge. Not anymore. Now Uranium. But that's another story.
Uranium. I love it. I was hoping you'd bring it up, or I was going to. But yeah, Uranium has everything I want from like an actual Pokemon game. A meaningful story, actual challenge.
It's fun. You like feel like you have to grind, and sometimes it gets a little too much.
It's a little too much.
But that's fun to be like, I got to get prepared for the next gym.
Mm-hmm. I would much prefer have the challenge and work through it as opposed to just practically sleepwalking through Brilliant Diamond. Like, I think I got Glaceon towards the end game, and I think I raised it back up with the rest of my team in like a day. It was insane. Like, it should not be that fast. This should be like a process.
Yeah, and even if it's like, well, they have to make it so kids want to play. Fine, just like put in an easy difficulty that I can ignore, and I don't have to do it. We go back to the first conversation, and it's like, and I said, From Software should be able to make the game they want, and I suppose Game Freak should be able to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm not going to play it, though. It's too easy, so it's boring, and I'm just not interested. And that's the same with, like, Chris. You don't begrudge them for not changing it, and that's fine. I just get bored with that. So, I mean, I'm going to be one fewer than the billions of people who are going to buy this game. Oh, well.
Yeah, you might just not be the target audience anymore.
Well,
That said, the experience share has to be toggleable. It has to.
I can't believe that we couldn't turn it off in the last game. I was like, are you kidding me?
And it should
Really?
be off by default. And you can turn it on if you so desire, which happened, was that Gen 7 or Gen 6? One of them was like, here's the experience share. Do you want to turn it on? You could be like, yes or no. Great. It needs to be that at the very because that creates so many problems with Brilliant Diamond that I do not care to see that done in a new game.
Yeah.
Because look, I'm not going to be the one who hampers on the difficulty, but that was too easy to an insulting level. And even I will say that much.
Yeah. I like Grass Cat. I will probably go with Grass Cat. I also saw the artwork for the main characters, and they look like they're 5. They look like babies, and it's really weird. It's like, I don't want to play as an actual, like, baby child. Christ.
Michaela, if you squint, though.
Squid, they'll look older.
No.
No.
I don't like where that sentence is going.
Maybe, actually. If you squint to the starting 3 Pokemon,
Okay.
I mean, you could still just kind of see like Chikorita and Piplup and the other guy. I mean, it's kind of just the same 3 over and over
I wish they
again.
would do like a Psychic Dark fighting or some kind of
Anything.
other 3 group
I don't
thing.
care.
That'd been
Man,
so
I don't
cool.
care. The balance is a little off.
Yeah,
Fine.
you have to go and find a threesome. I think there is one other threesome that exists that will give you a triangle. Because, like, Psychic doesn't hurt Dark. So if you ran into that rival fight, you're probably fucked.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah, what
so
the-
there's
that
issues
would be
with
a
that.
fun
but
way of, I go back to the original where if you chose Fire, I believe it's harder early and then, like, maybe easier later.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. If you choose Psychic, it's going to be a little bit harder for you for a while. That's fine.
See, the Game Freak is continuously making these for people who have not played a game in the series before. It's almost like the anti-From Software approach. That would not be fun if you didn't know what you were getting yourself into. Especially if we're talking like the first trainer you fight, the rival battle. You can't hurt them with your main attack.
Yeah, but when you're level 5, you don't have your type attack anyway.
And it's also not that hard to be like, when you select your Pokemon, like, be aware that it's going to be a little more challenging. This is the route that's a little harder. And it's like 2 seconds of work. I don't know. I'm not saying so they do the thing where they teach you how to catch Pokemon every single game. And everybody's like, oh my God, we're so sick of this. I get why that's there, though. It's because if you never played, that's a good thing to know. The little stuff like that, that's easy. It's easy, but they're not going to do it.
Nope.
I'm preaching to the choir. It's never going to happen.
Topic 3. Michaela, it's your topic. You start. I
Oh,
don't
it's
have anything.
me. So this year, I started off the year by actually watching shit that I probably should have seen like years and years and years ago. So, Lord of the Rings, I finally saw the film trilogy for the first time ever, and it was fantastic. And then Daredevil was the other thing that I watched. Like, I finished it just like 2 days ago before it went off Netflix.
So, like, when I was, like, doing, like, Miss Precious for, like, years, you just had no clue.
No, I mean, I knew some stuff just because of the internet, Like, I knew who Gollum was. I knew about Gandalf. I knew some other stuff, but there was also a ton of stuff I did not know. So that was great.
Miguel, at some point, when you don't watch something that's popular, you are just being indignant.
Well, that's why I watched it this year. Now I'm not indignant anymore.
Chris is just being indignant.
That's me.
Chris is like making a point now. Like, maybe I wasn't going to watch Harry Potter, but now I'm doing it to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were doing with The Lord of the Rings. You were like, I'm too cool for You're Precious or we were like, but I can carry you, Mr. Frodo.
I had no idea what you guys were talking about.
Yeah, it's like...
Well, and I didn't even have, like, access to the movies for the longest time. Like,
That's fair.
I mean, It just didn't really come up growing up for some weird reason that I still don't really know why. Because like everyone in our household likes them, so I don't know what happened. I was off the train for a while, but I know I'm on the train.
We watched the original trilogy.
Yes.
What were your thoughts? Extended, all of them extended.
All of them extended. They were amazing. I think I don't doubt there are other people out there in the world like me who haven't seen them. Watch them extended. That's the way to go. The movies were made for that. And oh my gosh, I just loved them so much. The effects. I watched the behind the scenes footage for the movies, and just the amount of work and like little just camera tricks and the sets that they built. Oh my god, it was just so cool. I loved watching them so much.
Why am I not surprised that Dave could not stay awake for a Lord of the Rings movie?
No.
I'm sorry, Dave. Was it too impactful? Did it make your own life shrink in comparison? Man, when we're watching the movie, and I'm almost tearing up when you're in the Shire and you're getting that the music that's playing when you're there.
Music.
And it's a party that lasts way too long, and then whatever. It's still so good. And the line delivery. Sometimes you read a book and then you watch a movie and you're like, man, I don't know what they're doing. That's not how I would have delivered that line. And then Lord of the Rings, you're like, oh my God, they are nailing all of these lines better than I would even thought to do. Ian McKellen.
All the actors are perfectly cast and
walking for 3 hours. See, that tells me, like, how do you say I'm an idiot without saying I'm an idiot? Well, Dave, Exhibit A. Just walking for 3 hours. Yeah, you're right. And you're such an expert because you watched them all.
I mean, like, what I like about the journey, too, is, like, yes, it's long, but I feel that journey, you know? I feel what they had to sacrifice and what they had to go through. I think some movies and series, you lose that because they just, like, kind of skip over, they kind of gloss over, like, the journey. And that's what these movies are. It's about the journey. And it's so good. I loved them so much.
Dave would have liked it better if there was a replicator. No, wait, no. What's the teleportation in Star Trek called? Whatever. They just beam them straight to the thing. Boom, 20 minutes. Great movie.
Or like I've seen the memes about like, oh, but they should have had the Eagles carry the ring to the.
But they couldn't. The Eagles are like Switzerland. You know, they're not just gonna. They're just going to go do whatever for these people.
Right,
Plus, that would just draw the eye. They made a big point of that. So I'll give you, if it's a plot hole for 3 hours walking, like if they could have just like taken the trolley or whatever, fine. But it's just the people that don't know any better are like, oh, it's 3 hours of walking. Transporter. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. That's aptly named, actually. That makes a lot of that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we got into some of these comments. Xena Warrior Princess. Look, I love Xena. I actually love the Hercules Legendary Journeys. Kevin Sorbo, who's like a fanatic these days.
That's tough with what's happened to him.
Yeah,
but
that's too bad. But you know, I still have a special place in my heart for that. It's not better than Lord of the Rings, man. Come on.
Nah, man.
Come on. And you know, and then skipping to Two Towers. Even then, no. The first movie, really good.
All three of them are excellent. Like, and that's really impressive because there's plenty of sagas out there where there's at least like one dud. Hunger Games, Mockingjay, Part 1 and 2, Harry Potter, Chamber of Secrets. I could go on and on listing these off, but like every single movie in the Lord of the Rings trilogy is perfect.
And then the end, they're like, well, I don't like the end because of all the false endings. And I myself said that. And then I went back and rewatched it. I was like, oh,
I don't know what
this
people
is
are
not
talking
false
about.
endings at all.
No. Yeah, I was
just
confused. Yeah. Well, I was confused by that too because I had heard that over the years. Like, oh, there's too many endings. And then I watched it and I was like, I don't know what people are talking about. What did you expect? Did you think it was going to end with them waking up in the Shire but not seeing Aragorn in his coronation? Or like not show Frodo and Gandalf go to
let's
the
just end it at the volcano, Kayla. And we don't need to wrap up loose ends. We don't need to bring storylines to their conclusion.
We don't need to have a satisfying ending for this epic trilogy. Just cut it.
Just cut it. Just cut it. Just cut it. Pause. Time out. Gabrielle. I wonder what she's doing these days. Holy cow. I was like, Xena was cool. And like sort of attractive if you're into that. And that's fine. Lucy Lawless is great. Gabrielle was like, oh.
I don't know who that is.
Childhood heartthrob. Gabrielle.
She is 51.
My goodness.
So that shows you how old we're getting.
Dang. I was like, Gabrielle, come save me.
Renee O'Connor.
Renee O'Connor.
Yeah, Xena and Gabrielle kind of ahead of their time.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't really show a ton of their like having a relationship on screen. It was really just hinted at a ton over the course of the series. But even then, back then, that was pretty unprecedented.
Yeah. No, Xena was great. Look, I love Xena. We're going to go. We'll talk one day about Hercules and Xena. Today's not that day. Dave, are you trying to make me mad? I hate it when they split the movies. Well, there's 3 books, Dave. Okay? There's 3 movies. Now, we're not getting into The Hobbit, which has that problem. Harry Potter also has that problem.
Yeah.
3 books, 3 movies. You want to smash them all together? One Lord of the Rings supercut? Jesus. Yeah, you know what? Star Wars would have been better. The original trilogy. Just make it all. We don't need Empire Strikes Back. Just go, training montage. Go from the beginning, and then he fights the Emperor at the end. That would have been better.
Oh, my God. Oh, he met Harry Potter.
We'll talk about Harry Potter another day, too.
Yeah.
We'll get Chris to watch it somehow.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
Good luck.
if I can watch Lord of the Rings, you can watch Harry Potter.
Yeah. So Daredevil. So you watched Daredevil.
I watched Daredevil too. It was spurred on because of wait, can I say never mind. I decided to watch it this year and it was fantastic.
That would have been spoilers that everybody already knows about, but I respect you for not going there.
Yeah, I just had a thought of like, oh God, I might
They are
spoil
coming to
something.
Disney Plus in 2 weeks. For anybody who hasn't yet had the chance but has that service, almost all those shows that have been in limbo or about to get canceled off of Netflix, they were announced today, are going to Disney Plus, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, which is great. Because then I can actually watch Jessica Jones and those other ones, but I had to prioritize Daredevil.
Do you know that Peter Jackson said that the extended edition is not canon? And I was like, okay, with respect, fuck off, Peter Jackson. Okay, look, that's the movie. This is the extent. There's more details. It's like a J.K. Rowling coming in and saying like, oh, by the way, although not as controversial. So, Michaela, Daredevil.
I like how in the very first bullet point, it was creators should have the ability to make things in their vision, and everything since then has been, fuck you.
Yeah. You don't get to come in and say, what's
Who are you,
canon
Peter
or not.
Jackson? Piece of shit. Although I do agree on J.K. Rowling, so,
Yeah.
So, Michaela,
Yes.
Daredevil, best
Daredevil.
season.
Oh God. Probably season 3, but season 1 is also way, way up there for me. And then the first half of season 2 is excellent. It would be the top, but then the second half of season 2 is very meh, so it drops it a bit. But it's fantastic. The action is incredible. Every hallway fight they do throughout the seasons.
Hallway fights.
It's the hallway fights.
But when they were good, other shows tried the hallway fights and then not as good.
No, like what I love about the fighting in this show is that it feels very like there's weight to it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I love Captain America and some of those other movies, but because Cap is a super soldier, he's not gonna have a hard time getting back up. They're just gonna take all the punches, and it's there's an element of like this doesn't feel like super real. Daredevil though, like every fight is so stressful because every hit you just feel it, it hurts. And,
It's always great when the first guy that gets knocked down, like later gets up again and like gets another hit in, and you're like, oh my God, these guys won't stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. It's incredible. Season 3, as time has gone on, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. Season 3, I think, is the best.
It was so good. I was yelling at the TV a lot by the end there, and it was stressful, but in the best way.
Yeah.
And I like that it's a different feel and tone from the other MCU properties.
Oh, absolutely. And then Iron Fist at a hallway fight.
I'm
And
sure
you
it
were
was
like,
terrible.
so can we go back to Is Daredevil back? Is he booked? Can we bring him back?
Can we have more seasons with him,
Episode
please?
1, I'm like, I'm good with Iron Fist. Let's go. Let's return.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I love these shows. You watched Arcane as well.
Yes.
You
yeah.
watched Arcane. You liked it more than I did. And I liked it
Really?
a lot. But you
Wow.
were like
I-
shook.
Loved it. Yes,
Yeah.
I was shook. It was so good. And it's one of the best video game adaptations I've ever seen. And I don't know if that's because, I don't know shit about League of Legends, but I don't know if it's because the lore is kind of fast and loose in the game, so they can really do a deep dive in the show. I don't know, but it didn't feel like I was watching a show based on a video game. It felt like I was watching just a really well-crafted show. And the animation was incredible. Oh my god, it was so good.
Jason is the expert on this, and he's not here, but I can tell you at the very least that League of Legends tore up its entire lore a few years into the game. I mean, we're talking back in like 2013, 2014, because they were so dissatisfied with what it was originally, which was like surface level nonsense. So they've definitely been building on that for a while now. To see it lead to this, though, is still, I think, a surprise to anybody who was there in the early days of League of Legends.
Yeah.
Hot take, hot take, hot take, hot take.
Yeah.
Castlevania's the best video game adaptation we've ever had.
Oh, see, and that
But you didn't like Castlevania that much.
I liked it fine. I don't know. It just didn't resonate with me the way like Arcane and some of these other shows did, and I don't know why that is. I thought something weird about season 1. This is such a stupid thing, but like the music was distracting. It was so
In
bad.
Castlevania?
Just in season 1 though. There's something about the music in season 1, like there's some battle music that's terrible. But then in season 2, they actually brought back like the like battle theme, Bloody Tears, when Alucard's fighting Dracula, and that's the best part of the whole show. It's so good.
All right, we'll have to debate this later. We don't have time today. But you've caught up on some shows.
Yes, I've caught up on all the things.
You know, on YouTube, we should see if there is just like a cut. Maybe we can get like a Lord of the Rings in 5 minutes so we can keep Dave's attention. You know, maybe that'll be...
Yes, I think that should
I'm
be
sure
a
there
thing.
is.
Yeah, because it's so funny that like you hear like attention spans are getting worse, and it's like you know, I can't say millennials anymore because it's like we're like past that. We're like Gen Z.
Zennials.
Zennials.
And then Dave is over here like, yeah, I'm a baby boomer, and I still have no attention span for anything. Fall asleep at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, we've been watching Hobbit, and that one feels slow. Like
It's
Lord
less
of the-
good. It's less good.
It's not as good.
It's
And
less
that one
good.
I actually feel the length, but Lord of the Rings I did not feel the length.
Too
at
many
all.
characters. That's my theory.
There's
Too
also
many
a
characters.
shitload of
Too many
characters.
in The Hobbit. And the ones that you like is like you're not enough time with them, including Bilbo.
It's so sad.
Bilbo had a line in Desolation of Smaug, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're here. I forgot about you. That's right.
It's
You're
so
the main.
sad.
You're the main character
Until you're not.
until you're not at all. And then we follow like Keeley around, who's fine.
He's
But
one of the
I'm
better
like-
ones, but he's also one of the only ones you remember.
Legitimately though, is it Feely or Keeley? I think it's Keeley.
There's both, Feely and Keeley.
Well, I know there's both, but I don't know which is which.
Keeley's the one with the dark hair who's the love interest.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got there. Chuck Rock agrees with me on Castlevania. That Chuck Rock, I think if I'm reading between the lines, confirms Castlevania is better than Arcane. Thank you, Chuck Rock. I appreciate the support.
Controversy, all the hot takes.
And to answer Soma's question, yes, most of the Marvel shows left yesterday on Netflix, and that's what Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher, Defenders, and even though it wasn't on Netflix before, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is also hitting, I think, in 2 weeks from today or somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah, March 16th.
Yep. So if you've been missing those and you have a Disney Plus subscription, I suppose now's the chance. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen eventually once they figured out what rights expired when, but unsurprisingly, the things that Disney funded are now going to show up on Disney Plus.
I wonder if we need a thing like in The Matrix. Have you ever seen The Matrix? You get like things uploaded in your brain. You just like have the knowledge of everything.
I haven't seen those either. That needs to be my pop culture update.
That should be next.
That one.
I wonder if we need that for like Dave. Like you just like plug in the knowledge. Like you don't need the journey or like the experience. You just need that like knowledge of Lord of the Rings in your brain.
The cursory knowledge, so you know what happens.
Maybe Dave would like that.
Hilarious. I'm here for
Anyways,
it.
so final topic.
All right. So from past stuff to the future.
Or past stuff being sold as the future, I think is the interesting. So I like what you did with it because I gave you no context. You said, will 2022 be a bounce back year? No idea, but I wasn't going to tackle that today. A couple things I wanted to say. One is the Batman. Wow, I found a theme for both of the things I wanted to talk about. So I read reviews that were like, it's actually being reviewed very well. 87% after 196 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's not like, oh, it'll go down after like the first. That's 200 reviews. It's going to be right about high 80s. So I'm so glad it's getting good reviews. This is, Matt Ryan. I forgot the director. He's the director who did the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Rise and all that trilogy, which is really, really good. So it's a really dark take. But I've heard like other than the Riddler, there's not really anything that it does new. And it's just sort of the same Batman beats that you've gotten, especially in the Nolan trilogy. But like a little bit more noir.
Which if I could take a second.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
Like, we thought
That's
we'd
my
run
question,
Spider-Mans into the ground. What the hell is we doing with the Batman between Gotham, the other TV shows, the Snyderverse, and again, the successful Nolan trilogy, which, by the way, the third movie was less than a decade ago.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Why do we have to run Batman on the ground when he's already such a one-note character to begin with? And I like Batman.
I would like to see this first because I've read some things that like it's definitely grittier. It leans a lot more into like the detective side of Batman. It's very focused on Batman. It doesn't like kind of get distracted with the rogues gallery or whatever. So I think there might be enough there. But if it truly is just like, oh, it's the same movie. I mean, that's hard. I guess there's obviously financial reasons, but also like IP reasons why, like, you know, I'm sure they would have loved to do another Christian Bale Nolan movie, and getting those parties together maybe would have been tough. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it, but yeah, if it's just a rehash, if I'm watching again, you're gonna see his parents die. We know that.
Please.
I'm gonna laugh if it's pearls hitting the ground again, because I think I've seen that 3 different times. So
yeah,
the
Waynes just can't stop going to the opera.
Yeah. So I read that this is like early Batman, and he's like just getting up there. I think there's a lot here that could be really good. If it ends up just being a rehash, though, yeah, I will say to your point, like, why again?
Is it just money? Is it really just that? It could be.
Well, I mean, it's not, you know, like sometimes they have to make a movie or they lose the rights every some years. I don't think we're there yet for Batman. So, I don't know, but I don't want to be harsh. It's reviewing very, very well. The cast, they've said, is phenomenal. Robert Pattinson, good for you. Dude, we watched the pitch meeting of Twilight. I was reminded how terrible you are in that movie. Maybe it wasn't your fault, but
both him and Kristen Stewart have been redeemed over the last couple of years.
But no one would accuse Robert Pattinson of elevating the material in Twilight, right? So
no.
He gets some of the blame, I think. But yeah, good for you. I'm so glad you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm glad they've both gotten away from that shitstorm of a franchise.
The other topic is that Patrick Stewart did confirm he's in Doctor Strange 2.
Oh, that's
So it's
good
no
of him to do
longer
that, because it was already 99.5% that was his voice in the trailer, but sure.
Which is so funny because, like, I caught that. And I'm not, like, always, like, you know, you get these sleuths who the trailer comes out and they're, like, digging in. And then I go and read those. I'm like, oh, how insightful. I just heard it on the first thing. I was like, that sounds like Patrick Stewart a lot. I had not read any rumors or anything. So I was like, that's strange. Turns out it is. So I don't know how I feel, because I read this really interesting thing of like, was Spider-Man No Way Home good? The answer is yes. But was it good, or was it just like them feeding you back nostalgia in new ways? Is the multiverse the new hotness just to trigger all the nostalgia neurons in your brain? And I thought that was really interesting, and I can't deny that that's part of it. But now that it's like a trend and it's happening over and over, I'm starting to get a little nervous.
I think I'm a little bit hesitant to pass judgment on that one, just because we know this is a movie about the multiverse, so we have no idea what impact that scene's going to have in the greater scheme of things. It could be a throwaway just to give him a cool cameo, and it's like a 2-minute thing and it's never brought up again. Or it could be the introduction of that X-Men universe into the MCU. I don't think that's going to be the case. That's almost too broad a scope and too many players involved to make that happen, but like, it could be. But we don't know until we get into this movie, so I'm kind of like, all right, that's a cool little throwaway tease. Maybe it is just going to be nostalgia relived, but until I see the movie and know what the hell the context is, I don't even want to waste time thinking about it too much, you know?
But even then, like, even if it's not, like, if he's Patrick Stewart playing another character, which is a can of worms I would not want to tackle, because you did that already with what's-his-face, Quicksilver, in WandaVision, and everyone was upset. And no matter what side of the fence you were on, you were upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not him, but it's somebody different, then that's its whole own thing. But like the multiverse being the nostalgia machine, I thought was interesting, especially when you have like, it's not even that innovative. The Flash and Arrowverse was doing this like 5 years ago, longer, where they're bringing in like the old Flash. He's like, I don't know, 80 years old now. And so it's like nothing new. I guess I'm concerned a little bit, but at the same time, No Way Home
was not fun.
No Way Home was so fun that maybe I'm okay with it.
I think if it's isolated to this, it's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like the multiverse is going to have a huge impact going forward. It could, certainly. But, we know a few other isolated MCU titles that you'd think are going to be mostly disconnected. But who knows? Maybe Wakanda Forever is also in the multiverse. I don't know. I'm also not super excited to see Wakanda Forever for what it's worth.
You're gonna have to sell it on like, what are you guys even gonna do?
What are you gonna do without Chadwick Boseman?
Yeah, but
That movie's
you're
coming
right.
out this year.
She's like an anti-vaxxer now, which is, I guess, fine. But it's like tarnishes it a little bit. And then what are you gonna do? Yeah, I don't know. Interesting challenge.
Today's still the 1st of March, but that movie comes out this year.
Yeah.
So
that movie comes
Wild.
out this year?
Yeah,
yeah,
wild.
November, I think.
Christ. Okay.
It's the holiday season movie for the MCU for the
We're
year.
gonna have to look it up. I want to do like a. Yeah, I think you're right, but anyways, you know what? The Flash is doing this too. The Flash movie is going to be multiverse, and this was like people are like superhero bubble, and I'm like, well, like I mean, I think there's plenty of content for everybody to be happy, but now we're like on a multiverse. Everyone's doing the multiverse. It's the new hotness, multiverse.
Yeah, I mean, even Into the Spider-Verse is doing it too. I mean, the Into the Spider-Verse is amazing, but yeah, we're seeing a lot of multiverses lately.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
it's almost like we're going to be saturated.
November 11th, by the way.
It seems cool. See, there you go. And it seems like Michael Keaton. Somebody brought up. Somebody. Check Rock brought up. Michael Keaton is now 70. Well, he's also in the Flash movie as Batman, and I think maybe another movie as well as Batman. So we're just bringing everything that we liked before, and we're bringing it back. And like, I'm not complaining because maybe it'll be really good. I want to be aware. I don't want to be preyed on. So my fear is being prey. I want to be the predator. Not the prey.
Not the prey.
So
of multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Yeah, like Disney
exploiting us on the multiverse. Yeah, you make a point.
I mean, Thor shouldn't have the multiverse, right? Right?
Who knows?
I probably like a post-credit scene will do something quirky, but the movie itself shouldn't be involved in that, right?
Apparently Jane has a Mjolnir, and everybody's like, "Oh, she just gets that from the multiverse." I was like, I don't think that's how that's gonna work. I think they're gonna repair the old hammer. But that's neither here nor there. It's it could be.
I would think that's the case as well, but who knows?
Yeah.
It was different in the comics. She was going to die in the comics, so
that'd be cool. Let's do that here too.
Yes, let's kill Jane right if they rehab her.
Yeah, like give her something to show off Natalie Portman's range. You haven't done that yet in this series.
One of my favorite tropes when you make a character finally redeemable and then kill them.
We sure love
I meant least favorite.
Those
Wait, so Kylo
characters.
Ren, you didn't love?
Like everything in the Star Wars movies since 1999, I didn't really love much about it.
That reminds me, I watched Boba Fett, the season finale, because I was only watching the last few Boba Fett episodes for very specific reasons, and I'm a little concerned about the quality of the shows going forward. I don't know, Sean, did you see it?
No, not yet.
Okay,
I will.
well,
I trust those guys, and if there's a couple weird Boba Fett episodes, I'm like, I'm okay, because there's been a lot of good stuff. But if it becomes a trend,
that's kind of where my
then let's be
concern is. Like, those episodes were excellent, but the placing of it's weird, and I just have some other lingering questions.
On a future episode, he's gonna love this. I'm gonna walk you guys through the High Republic.
The book?
It's a whole thing.
Oh.
It's gonna be TV shows coming up. There's a book series. Some video games coming out. The new one there was a trailer. That's High Republic. So buckle up for that. That's going to be really exciting.
Love my Star Wars lore, especially the really complicated shit.
I can't wait for there to be a trailer for a 10th Star Wars mainline movie at some point. Who knows when? Because I'm going to shit all over it.
Just no matter what if it's like really good.
I don't care. I don't care. There's no track record with the mainline films anymore. There's plenty of ancillary properties that are doing just fine. Mandalorian's doing great, but nope. You're gonna have to prove it to me now because everybody got super excited for the trailers for all 3 of those last movies, and they all kind of sucked in their own way.
Mm-hmm. When you have 6 of your 9 movies sucking, and the only 3 good ones were from 40 years ago.
I would argue 7.
7 movies?
7 of the 9 suck.
Oh, 7 of the 9 suck.
Yep. Now, maybe I'm being jaded as time goes on. This may be another topic for another time, but I actually think 7 of the 9 main Star Wars movies are below average at best.
Well, and it
There it
depends,
is.
because Revenge of the Sith, for example. I really enjoy Revenge of the Sith. If you're being objective, is this a great film? you can have a debate for
it
sure.
probably is the best offering though of the prequels.
There's some.
so-
Sure.
Don't even.
I'll agree with that.
It's not. Yeah, that's.
But
for
I
sure.
like that movie like I like Space Jam, which is to say it's dumb fun that can be entertaining, but
Come on, it's a little better. It's a little better than Space Jam. It's a little. Well,
I just
we
want the
will-
record to show what Sean just said.
We'll have this debate. Look, I mean, I know what I get with Space Jam. I was telling my mom, like, man, there's some movie I can't remember. I remember loving it, and I go back and it sucked, like awful. I don't remember what it is, and she was like, Space Jam. I was like, thanks, Mom.
Mhm.
Wow,
That was hilarious. That was her first
Space
guess.
Jam.
It just goes to show how much he watched it when he was a kid that she still remembers.
Every day, man.
Mm-hmm. Into the room, she
I
just
was-
hears everybody. Again, she's like,
I would do other stuff and just it would be on, but then I would always watch the game because it was so hype. Once that music starts, so good.
Dave has gone to the point where he's saying 9 was objectively horrible. I mean, we have a review where I don't think any of the three of us loved it. I think the highest score any of us gave it was a 6, but that score would have been reduced since then. Whatever I gave it then, I think it was like a 4, and it would be lower now.
I probably liked it the most out of all of us because I don't absolutely hate it. I just mostly don't like it. That's the most glowing praise you're gonna get in this house.
Yeah.
I think my problem is that none of them are like terrible. Yes, I did say none of them are terrible, but they should be so much better. There's so much to work with, and they're all just massive disappointments. That's the problem. Because the original 3 laid the groundwork, and even the original 3 aren't all stellar, and then they took that momentum and threw it in the ground.
It just shows you what a good idea Star Wars is. Like they've been writing on this universe forever because so many of the movies are like, oh, they're okay. But with space wizards with laser swords
Mm-hmm.
is so cool.
And pretty much the simplest good versus evil tale you can tell.
Yeah. Like awesome, weird space creatures. It's just like, it just hits for so many people. It's really interesting.
Alrighty, that is the end of this episode. I told you it was a mixed bag. That's why we call it the episode Mystery Box, and now you understand. It was
That's cool.
sort
I
of
like
all
it.
over the place.
I like those.
Plus, we like the Mystery Box reference. We make it probably every 5 episodes. So, next week, we should have the cast back for a regular show. In fact, we may have an addition, and we may be playing a relatively new segment for the second time.
The addition is Doug.
I'm
It's
gonna say I
hit
will
list.
not be here ever again. You will never see me. again.
Michaela is being fired.
Goodbye. I'm
That's
gonna
right.
go die.
We
in a
made too
corner.
many 10 out of 10 jokes. It is now never going to happen again.
She took too long to watch Lord of the Rings. She got my blood heated because Dave commented.
Jack Rock
yes.
said you should come back for what it's worth.
Oh,
Now,
that's nice.
you should take that with a grain of salt because he liked Xena more than Lord of the Rings. But still,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
still nice praise.
Is Jack Rock a majority shareholder on the show? I don't think so. I don't think he gets a say on you coming back. Now I know you're probably just gonna say he was just being nice. No.
No, he's terrible. What?
Yeah, one day, Chuck Rock, we'll get that Trails game. One day in the 5 years.
Oh,
from
there's
now.
like so many Trails games coming out. I see it every day.
Yeah, there actually are. a
We'll see when they
bunch
come
on the
here.
way. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm sure they all will at this point. They're doing well enough. It's just a matter of time. They'll
Mhm.
probably all stack up at once, and then we'll be playing them for another 6 years on the channel, and I'll kill myself.
Yep, same.
Whoops! Shouldn't have said that out loud. And by the way, yes, thank you, Selma. The difficulty was balanced. That's what we strive for. We want the hard, the easy, the high, the low. As a reminder, by the way, and we'll do this again next week, this following episode, next Tuesdays, is the last one at this time slot for anybody not in Arizona, because Daylight Savings Time is the Sunday after that. So the show on the 15th will be 10:30 Eastern. We'll go over when the time comes for all of our non-Arizona listeners out there.
I've stopped listening to you. I don't understand. Time
I don't know. It'd be
zones.
really simple. The rest of the country just didn't do a fucking thing with DST, but here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching. As always, you can find us at our website, objectionnetwork.com, or at youtube.com/objectionnetwork, where there's other things happening, like video game streams that Sean won't watch. See you next time.